Another big problem is that the CRTC is also ignoring non-compliance from most of its licensees. It's true that the CRTC can punish broadcasters who break the regulations. There's a power under the law right now that allows the CRTC to do that. It can take non-compliant broadcasters to court and fine them seek a fine of up to $250,000 per offense. And that per offense is actually kind of meaningful, because if you breach the regulations on day one, that in theory could be $250,000. Day two, the same offense is another $250,000, and so on. So there's a lot of money at stake, and you could probably make a ton of money just prosecuting and trying to get that fine in place. Unfortunately, most broadcasters are non-compliant. So you'd sort of think, well, gee, if they're all non-compliant, what is the CRTC doing to actually enforce? These data here show that, for example, 78% of all TV stations have broken the regulations, the policies, or the conditions of license at least once, and almost half of them, 41%, have done so more than once. So they didn't learn the first time they were called on this problem, they just kept doing it. In radio, the problem is considerably worse. More than half reoffend. Of that, the statistics aren't here, more than a third or 3 times or more. You have the infamous case of Schaffm, which got, 5, 6, 7 short-term renewals for non-compliance. Broadcasters are having a problem. And you'd think that they would be in court to deal with this because the CRTC would charge them with things, but in fact that hasn't happened. The CRTC stopped prosecuting for non-compliance in 2000. I'm getting the hook here, and I only happen to know that Peter might be a little bit briefer, which is why I'm starting next time. Because what I'd really like to do is deal with the fact that the CRTC wants more powers now, having done such a successful job in the past. It wants more. Well, there are problems in broadcasting. My solution, of course, would be to hire a lawyer. Perhaps I'm self-interested, I don't know. But the thing is, why aren't more of us lawyers going to court? Looks like an easy ride. The problem is that we can't win. We can't win because only CRTC decisions can be challenged. Policies cannot be challenged before the court. We can't win because we have no evidence, because the CRTC will not provide it. It has no obligation in law to disclose the reasons and the evidence on which it bases its decisions. We can't win because the CRTC has no duty in law to serve the public interest, and that means it has no duty in law to serve new people who want to get into the industry in terms of new media. The CRTC sees its clients as regulated broadcasters. All of you are what's left. You don't count in the Act. The CRTC is not required to serve the public interest. It must, in fact, its only duty in law is to regulate flexibly and to be sensitive to the high administrative burden imposed by all of that enforcement of the regulations. So the hidden crisis, in my view, is not the fact that we need new models for broadcasting. We do. It's not the fact that we're losing jobs. We are. It's the fact that we cannot fix it under the current legislative framework. Other agencies, like the copyright, must provide reasons. So what can be done? I'm really flipping along here. You should know I had 60 slides before. We're only on 33. We're looking at a big purchase this year. Schaffm wants to have a $4.6 billion company. This involves all of its programming, cable, satellite, everything. That's a big company. Okay.
A big animal.
That's a big animal. In fact, you want to look at this and you say, gee, I'm skimming through. I had a really good thing to say here. I'm trying to remember it. I haven't had my triple espresso this morning. And that is that you're up against a huge elephant. Shaw is $4.6 billion. The entire broadcasting industry is in the order of $15 billion. Most of that is controlled by 4 or 5 companies. That's them. They are trampling us. They're trampling right over us. And they are very smart businesses. But cultural people, the cultural sector is large and it matters. And there are lots more of you than there are of them. So the problem you have, of course, is lack of resources. You have a lot of people. What can you do? Well, I came up with an idea. You can change the course that our legislative system is taking. You can change the fact that broadcasters are in charge right now. With a small few pinpricks, you can do it. So what do we need? We need accountability, particularly from the CRTC. We need 3 small changes to the current broadcasting legislation. These seem innocuous, but they would be extremely powerful, and they might help new broadcasters and new people in open media, Twittering, whatever you'd like to do. There is no duty to serve the public interest. Why wouldn't we have a duty to serve the public interest? Why wouldn't the CRTC have to provide reasons for everything it does? And why wouldn't we require CRTC policies and not just decisions to be appealed to courts? What are the pins? The first and most important one is evidence. We have no evidence coming forward right now. Before I use this next word, you should understand that I've spent 10, I think it's 10, might even be more years at university. I like academia. We need academic people to provide us with the ammunition we need in terms of actual empirically based research. But there are many other things you can do. Call your MPs, organize, and of course then you should hire lawyers. Thank you very much. I'm so excited.